Tonight at 5, plans for a special election are underway to fill in the
Newsource.
Athens-Clarke County seat vacated by Commissioner Mariah Parker. A local fire department teams up with an aerial lift group to provide volunteer firefighters emergency training. And later, while Oconee County is planning to redistrict its school zones. All of this and more on Grady Newsource.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College of the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening, I'm James Rogers and welcome to Grady Newsource. More on these stories in a moment, but first, breaking news. A police update from today reveals that 2 males have been arrested and charged in relation to the shooting in downtown Athens on August 25th. The 17 and 18-year-old males charged with 3 counts of violation of the Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act, 2 counts of aggravated assault and robbery. The investigation is still ongoing and more arrests could be made. Anyone with more information or related to this incident, contact the ACCPD at the phone number below or at the email address below. After the resignation of District 2 Commissioner Mariah Parker, there is a new seat to fill in Athens. Grady Newsource Wynn Andrews explains why finding a replacement might take longer than expected.
Georgia Governor Brian Kemp officially accepted Mariah Parker's resignation from their position as Athens-Clarke County's District 2 Commissioner. This move paves the way for Athens-Clarke County Commissioners to call a special election at a meeting next Tuesday. The Board of Election takes the process from there.
Formally, legally, we have to call for an election, generally, which is just kind of like one of those procedural things. But beyond that, it's really up to the Board of Elections to decide the details.
However, when assessing those eligible to run for the position and vote in the election, lines are a bit blurry, literally.
So there's a lot that has to be decided. And then based on that, we'll determine on what and how we need to run north, south, east, or west.
With the creation of a new District 2 boundary set to go into effect next January, the ACC Board of Elections has to decide whether eligible candidates reside in the current or future District 2 boundaries.
The special election would only include the voters of Commission District 2, again, determined by our board if it would be the old lines or the new lines. They also will determine if the election will be held in November or in March.
Sosby states that the potential dates for the special election are narrowed down to either November 8th or March 21st. More details to come, but until the election date and candidates are revealed, it will be a waiting game in deciding the newest commissioner for Athens-Clarke County.
You know, it's sort of like the Super Bowl game. You just wait and see who's going to win.
For Grady Newsource, I'm Wynn Andrews.
Oconee Schools recently proposed a redistricting plan for next fall. Grady Newsource reporter Gabrielle Vitale explains why this could mean for residents of Oconee.
Oconee County's growing population has created a need for redistricting. The first draft of the plan was proposed at Monday's board meeting.
So the goal of this is to help balance our school system for the next 7 to 10 years.
8% of students will be affected by this proposal.
If there's particular resources available at different schools that might impact, someone's decision to stay at one.
The new Dove Creek Middle School will split the Malcolm Bridge Middle School zones in half. 4 of the elementary schools will be affected in order to rebalance the school's populations. To lessen the impact of redistricting, families have the option of school choice. This means families can opt into staying at their school instead of the new one they were zoned for.
Once you have school choice, it stays for that school. So it wouldn't continue on for middle or high school. They would have to resubmit that request at that time.
Families' main concerns are whether the zone for their high schools will change. However, the proposal leaves the zones for each high school the same. Parents can find out if their zone is impacted by going to the Oconee County Schools website. Here, they will find a map of the proposed school zones, a feedback form, and the street lookup dashboard. There will be a listening session on October 11th at North Oconee High School to discuss the redistricting plan with the board. Reporting of Grady Newsource, I'm Gabrielle Vitale.
In related news, Jackson County School System is also opening a new middle school. Legacy Knoll Middle School will be located next to the new Jackson County Building High School. It will serve as the west side of the county, and if all goes to plan, it will be opening to students in the fall of 2023.
Snapchat offers an updated outlet for users to register for voting.
Voting 101 Hub is a new.
With the midterm elections quickly approaching, it is important to know your options when it comes to voter registration. Grady Newsource reporter Madison Harwell tells us about the advances in voter registration on social media.
Snapchat offers an updated outlet for users to register for voting. Voting 101 Hub is a new addition to the platform that provides in-app instructional videos for registering. Users now have 3 options when it comes to in-app voter registration. The first option is personal registration. The second allows you to check your registration status, and the third option is where you can encourage your friends to register for voting.
Hopefully it'll spread the word about getting registered to vote, especially in times like this when people need to vote.
The Athens-Clarke County Board of Elections Director explains this is a good start, but not the final answer when it comes to voter registration.
I want to encourage people that it's not just registering, it's also voting. So we need to register and vote.
Voter registration ends in Georgia on October 11th. Madison Harwell, Grady Newsource.
Now turning to Georgia politics, the 2022 midterms are heating up, and no race hits closer to home than the U.S. Senate contest featuring former Georgia running back and legend Herschel Walker and incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock. The pair have finally announced their first in-person debate, which will take place in Savannah. The two candidates were sparring in TV ads in recent weeks, but now they are taking to Twitter to announce the bout. Warnock voiced his excitement, but challenged his opponent to accept his challenge to more debates. Walker, on the other hand, had this to say. In the 50-50 divided Senate, all eyes are focused on the Peach State race this fall. The debate will take place on October 14th. The Oconee County Fire Rescue Team has hosted a joint class with AirLife Georgia on Thursday. Grady News reporter Abby Walton shows us how this training better prepared their volunteer firefighters for emergency situations.
The joint session involved the firefighters assisting in a medical helicopter landing that happened near the Oconee County school grounds. The event began with a presentation run by volunteer firefighter Jaron Queen explaining the helicopter landing process.
I just want to do everything safe because that's me strapped to that thing sometimes. So I prefer to, have somebody on the ground looking out for us because we rely heavily on them when it's us up there coming in.
Following the presentation, the volunteer firefighters were walked to this field that I'm standing in, right in between Oconee County High School and Highway 53, to learn how to direct and assist the medical personnel in the helicopter's landing. The exercise teaches Oconee County volunteer firefighters how to set up a landing zone, use cones and strobe lights to assist the landing, as well as how to package a patient and offer support to medical professionals. Medical Officer Dennis Lucky says this drill is a refresher to many, but also may be new to some of the Oconee volunteer firefighters.
This is a county-wide exercise so that firefighters and EMS can work together and learn to better work together.
Oconee County Fire Rescue wants the community to know that their volunteer firefighters are prepared for medical emergency helicopter landings. Abby Walton, Grady Newsource.
And with the summer demand behind us, gas prices are slowly decreasing to levels unseen in months. All of that and more when we return.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers, he connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found
Hey,
How you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
With the recent drop in demand, gas prices across the nation are trending downward. Grady News reporter Ben McKetrick explains how this impacts Athens residents.
Over the past week, AAA says the national average price for regular unleaded gas has fell a cent a day to $3.70. This is a level unseen since the beginning of March. For Georgia, the average price per gallon sits at $3.22, according to AAA's Wednesday report. This is over $1 less than the highest average recorded this year at $4.50 in the middle of June.
I wouldn't say that it's been the best time since, like, in the past couple months for people that drive, but probably, like, they probably definitely enjoy it now, considering it's not like $5 anymore.
Georgia is the fifth least expensive market in the nation. At $3.14, Athens falls on the lower end of the state average, and this amount is identical to Texas, who has the nation low average. The Athens average on Wednesday was 36 cents less than that of a month ago, only 19 cents more than this time last year, and most importantly, $1.34 less than June 17th's highest recorded mean of the year.
Me, being a resident here in Athens, it's really give a good cushion that we one of the cheaper gases in town, and as it keep decreasing, it'll probably be down, like after a while everybody be at $2.99 at some point.
This is already taking effect, with some gas stations now seeing prices under $3. But while we are seeing a steady decrease in gas, the prices for energy and food specifically have increased per the latest CPI released.
It's getting a little bit better at the gas standpoint, but again, like I say, as the gas drop down, the food costs and everything else is not going to drop down.
For Grady Newsource, Ben McKetrick.
As Ben McKetrick just mentioned, gas prices may have gone down, but grocery shoppers are not so lucky. Newsource reporter Riley Roberts gives us some insight into the rising food costs.
The August 2022 Consumer Price Index revealed a 0.1% increase since July and an 8.3% increase in the past calendar year. The CPI is a measure of average change over time and prices paid by urban customers on a typical market basket. Grocery shopper Amanda McCartney says she feels the effects of rising costs.
I would definitely have to look for deals or coupons or something, just because work around here and being a student is not ideal, so I definitely have to change a little bit of my grocery shopping.
Equity research analyst Mo Riza says that the change in cost comes from companies having to pay more to get their products out to consumers.
The way to overwrite that is to pass on costs to the consumer. So, I mean, companies at the end of the day have to make a profit, and that's how businesses work. So what would happen is you'd see those costs reflected into the price of the market.
Riza says he doesn't see prices heading on a downward trend anytime soon either.
It's a bleak outlook, but it's the realistic outlook at this point.
Riley Roberts, Grady Newsource.
In national news, Twitter shareholders voted almost unanimously to sell the social media platform to eccentric billionaire Elon Musk. Musk previously tried to back out of the deal after he claimed Twitter failed to meet his terms of purchase. Shareholders are now seeking the original $44 billion buyout. That's 25% greater than the company's current stock value. Athens Clark County leaf and limb collections crew are set to collect your loads this week. Grady Newsource reporter Aubrey Granzow shows us how to opt into the service.
With the fall season approaching, crews are in full force to collect remnants from households. have a branch or two you would like picking up? The Athens-Clarke County Solid Waste Department has all the details on how to get these taken care of.
You can put your pile out basically 10 days before we pick up, so it can be a 6 by 6 by 4.5 pile. So I basically tell people the size of the back of a pickup truck, and if you have bags, you can have up to 25 bags or a combination of both.
Collections will be in Area C, covering the surrounding area bordering Highway 29 and Commerce Road. As the crew will not be collecting from this area again for another 6 weeks, the committee urges residents to gather their limbs. Requirements can be found on the department's website. Landscape architect student and Athens resident Sophie Hooks compliments the service and offers a suggestion for the organization to maintain collections.
And leaf pickup in Athens. However, I think that for the season that we're at, everything looks nice. As long as they change with the seasons and kind of just read how the plants are doing, then they'll be good to go.
In Athens, Aubrey Granzo, Grady Newsource.
In UGA news, the University of Georgia was awarded the Insight into Diversity's Higher Education Excellence in Diversity Award for the 9th year in a row. The award is the only one of its kind and recognizes significant efforts and success in the area of diversity and inclusion on campus. Coming up, a look at the 5-day forecast. Also, another small earthquake was recorded in northeast Georgia.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
I'm Michael Doty, and this is your Northeast Georgia weather update. So looking at today's temperature, high of 84, low of 62, a perfect day to be outside, sunny skies, and this is only going to continue throughout the next 5 days. Thursday and Friday with highs of 85, and then on Saturday it's going to bump up 1 degree hotter, a high of 86 degrees. So if you're staying here to watch the game, try doing it outside. It'll be a perfect day. And if you're going to the game, in Columbia, it's going to be very similar, a high of 87 degrees, also sunny skies. And on Sunday, it'll warm up just a bit more, high of 88, but still manageable, perfect day to be outdoors. And in other news, a second small earthquake was recorded in North Georgia. This one was in Hart County, up in Reed Creek, a 2.1 magnitude earthquake, very similar to the 2.4 magnitude earthquake measured on Sunday in Jackson, which is over in Butts County. Now, neither one of these are capable of doing any sort of damage to people or their homes. The U.S. Geological Survey asked people near the epicenters to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, and for this most recent earthquake, they measured it at a 3, meaning light shaking but no damage done. And for the Sunday earthquake, no score exceeded 4, meaning a little more shaking, but still not enough to do any damage. This has been your Northeast Georgia weather update.
Coming up in sports, the Georgia Bulldogs head over to Columbia, South Carolina this weekend, and the U.S. men's national soccer team is set to prepare for the 2022 World Cup.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
You know, a lot of people say, when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. And I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
Good evening, I'm Aria Circa with your Grady Newsource Sports. College football is finally back into full swing as the Georgia Bulldogs play in the SEC opener game this Saturday against the South Carolina Gamecocks. Looking to the NFL, after suffering a loss in Week 1, the Atlanta Falcons are looking for a victory on the road this weekend as they face the defending Super Bowl champions, the Los Angeles Rams. The Atlanta Braves won their game against the San Francisco Giants last night 5-1. Kyle Wright earned his 18th win on the mound, while Dansby Swanson hit 3 home runs. This win snapped the Braves' losing streak and keeps them on pace for the NL East title against the Mets. Staying on the diamond, Yankee outfielder Aaron Judge hit his 57th and 58th home run. Judge is only 4 home runs away from tying with Roger Maris's Yankee single-season home run record of 61. Heading to the pitch, the U.S. men's national soccer team dropped its official September roster for the final round of friendlies. The squad features stars Kristen Pulisic, Weston McKennie, and Giovanni Reyna, just to name a few. But several big names were left off the roster in the run-up to the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Defender John Brooks and goalkeeper Zach Steffen missed the cut. The pair previously combined for 74 competitive appearances. With the World Cup starting in November, the U.S. soccer team is releasing their official jerseys tomorrow, so make sure to be on the lookout. The U.S. men's team will play against Japan and Saudi Arabia in the coming weeks. That's all for sports today. For Grady Newsource, this is Aria Circa.
And when we come back, find out about new ways you and your friends can go see cheap live music in your area.
finally scored. We're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
But I need that back.
No.
Kevin!
And great news, music heads. There's a new slate of homegrown artists and talent coming to Athens venue near you. And guess what? You and a friend could see your favorite band for cheap. It's because of venues like this that are offering deals on ticket bundles this fall. The Georgia Theater posted a back-to-back buy one get one deal on Instagram this week, and it runs until Friday, September 16th. The stars include big names like Corey Smith, Vista Kicks, and local legends like the Stews. This week, National Arts and Education Week. Grady Newsource reporter Mary Lou Masters shows us what Barrow Art and Science Academy is up to.
While the arts are celebrated every day at Barrow Art and Sciences Academy, this week is particularly special. It's National Arts and Education Week, which hits home for the Academy. April Ballinger, an 8th grade team leader at BASA, explains how the Academy educates.
And we challenge ourselves and we push ourselves to really think outside the box and to not do things in the traditional way.
This week, the 8th graders are making pottery.
Here at BASA, they showcase what they learn through the arts.
Mitch Freeman, a 2D art teacher at the Academy, shows you what his class is up to this week.
So this week we're working with color theory and patterns. So this project is based on triangles and different color themes. We looked at the Epcot Center sphere as an inspiration for the pattern. And when this is hung up, it'll have a 3D effect depending on which colors are sitting next to each other.
The Academy's halls are lined with student artwork. Elizabeth Osborne Kibb, a dance instructor at BASA, talks about the new moves her students are working on.
Currently, our advanced dance class is producing a concert, so they're producing a school-wide talent show that will take place in October. So this class is doing everything for that.
For Grady Newsource, this is Mary Lou Masters.
All right, today we'd like to introduce a different form of reporting, which you'll be seeing at the start of next week. It's called solutions journalism. Here to explain what style of reporting it is, we're joined by Grady Newsource reporter Addison Harwell. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so solutions journalism really digs deep into reporting and figures out how people are responding to different social issues in the community. Basically, it's a seek and find of what issues are going on, and it really goes for trying to find the solution and what the impact is of the solution. And this is huge because it provides other communities in ways that they can approach similar social problems.
So what are the stories that you've kind of discovered so far?
Yeah, so I kind of stumbled upon mine. It's in Barrow County. And if you don't know, Barrow County is expanding rapidly. And with this expansion, there are obviously limitations. And unfortunately, one of the limitations is that Barrow County Animal Control is going through an overflow of animals. And they've always been a no-kill shelter, but now they kind of have no choice because of the overflow. But the solution of this story is they run almost entirely on volunteers. They only have 10 full-time employees, but all of their social media is run completely by volunteers.
Wow.
And that is the main outreach for getting these pets adopted.
Well, that sounds like a great story, and we look forward to hearing it.
Thank you.
So
yeah,
thank
I'm
you all.
excited.
Yeah. So thank you all so much for joining us today on Grady Newsource. I'm James Rogers. This is Madison Harwell, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. All right, they told me to start wrapping it up.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move.
So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far. A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Your home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
A good show. I mean, from a tech side of things, I like that y'all are trying new things, new kind of stepping out of your comfort zones this early in the semester. Makes our jobs a lot of fun on the tech side of things. I don't really have a lot to say or whatever. Y'all really good communication-wise today. I will say the only thing is make sure whenever you're sending your stuff in a small tree that you have it labeled exactly how it is in the rundown. And I understand, some things can change. I had a question with him about one of his VOs. It was labeled as E2, but it was actually an E1, so if that does change, just let us know. We'll make notes about it too. I understand, things change at the last minute. That is totally fine, but just communicate with us about that. But yeah, from a tech side of things were good. Of course, any hiccups on our end, we're trying to improve on daily. But yeah, y'all are fabulous today, and can't wait to see what else y'all do next week.
And you were extraordinarily fabulous today, and you deserve a round of applause. This is your first live show ever that
I've SPN for, yeah.
It went so smooth, and and of course this is your live show, and we attempted so many things, and kudos to you and your staff. I hope they're watching, and honestly, you're impressive. We love you. We thank you so much for making this, and let me hear it. Nat Pop. By the way, lots of good Nat Pops today in some packages. So you can tell that I'm really happy. I'm really, really happy. Of course it's not perfect. Of course, it's our first live show, but
y'all are trying new things, and it makes our jobs fun from a tech side of things. So.
Yes, fun, yes, and more complex, and yet, you did this, and yet all of you, I saw such creative graphics, and I could tell all of you had fun, you put your hearts into everything, your creativity, and so early, this is your first show, you were all just impressive, and you can tell how happy I am with each and every one of you. But I will leave it to, of course, we had a great leadership team. Without great leaders also, like yourself, Sydney, we don't have good shows. And without a great team and a great anchor and great MMJs, it's all teamwork. We were talking today, Abby and I were talking today, that it takes a whole team. And when everybody puts their heart into the work, this is what you start with. And so, guys, I'm honestly really, really proud of you. I have some things I'll talk to you individually because I want to keep you moving. But I'm really happy, and I'm going to zip it up and let you guys talk. Wonderful. You see how tired they are because it wasn't easy. They are yawning, and I know that it wasn't easy. So over to Nicole, our intrepid producer, who has promised me she's going to share her wisdom and all the experience that she had from the mock shows and now the first live show. So take it away.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm still trying to just gather my thoughts after the whole day. But I'm really, really proud of everybody. We did such a great job at making sure that everything was, as close to being on time as possible, as opposed to Monday. So there was a huge improvement, and I thank you guys so much for that. Exponential learning curve on my end. I learned so much today from Monday and the mock show. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is to just be super prepared and on top of things in terms of having extra stories and extra content, because with both of the shows that I've produced, we've been under. So I want to also say thank you to Madison and Jim for doing that whole thing at the very end with the conversation that you guys had. You guys did so good. Y'all look so good.
Cute, and you look so good and natural. Ad-libbing around things, and it's so much different when people ad-libbing. Michael was ad-libbing, you can tell, just a little more smile. I'm going to make you smile, Michael. But you can tell in the performance, it's more genuine, and it's when it is ad-libbed. And this, of course, you had your notes, but it was great.
And because the show was under in time, we had to throw that on you guys. But like I said, you guys did amazing. And also, like, Harper had to do things that wasn't even a part of his role. And so that was amazing and stuff. And I think my word of advice would just be always come into the room, like, expecting that the show, or that we don't have enough content to fill up the whole show. Always come in with, like, as much ideas as possible, just trying to, like, make sure, because that's kind of like the biggest thing as a TV producer, is making sure that you fill out the time needed. And that was my biggest struggle. I foresee that being a huge struggle as well in the future. But
that's why, like, I'm a broken record. Please, producer, fill in your estimated duration, the first thing you need to do, so that early on in the day, you know if you're in trouble, and you can ask people to, to film some more content and to think of some more content. So,
yeah, and Danae also.
Thank you for making that point. Yeah.
And Danae also was such a huge help as well. I would have absolutely failed without her, but yeah. So I'm just gonna.
Sure. So more of the same guys. I was EP today. It was tough, kind of just being in that role. Kudos to Jim as an anchor. He was super, super natural on camera. Definitely has a knack for it. Really appreciate you guys' flexibility, especially when we approached you guys with stuff, or I approached you, or Nicole approached you about doing stuff differently visually. You guys were really open to it and flexible and able to kind of adapt and do that, and it really made for a really good show visually. And that bit at the end especially helped us fill time. We kind of started today running around with our heads cut off because we were at a time disadvantage. We were down a man from MMJ's perspective, so that was already a minute and a half hole that we weren't really thinking about at 9 o'clock, and we should have been. So that's on us. And then we had some kind of difficulties with estimated duration as well, putting it in rundown. We could talk about that more later for future leadership teams to kind of be conscious of that. As far as putting in scripts, that kind of messes up what your estimated duration is, and you end up thinking that you're a lot closer to 30 minutes than you actually are. So the whole time we were thinking like, we only got a minute and a half left to fill at 2 o'clock. No, we had 4.5 minutes left to fill, right? So kind of just being conscious of being aware of that. More praise to you guys. Y'all were awesome as far as like getting deadlines.
Yes,
You're on time. You're on time getting scripts into me. You're on time, and you were willing to approach me or Donna or Nicole to get your scripts approved. I don't know, speak for you guys, but that helped y'all get to V faster, helped her get through scripts. And then when you ultimately ran into any kind of trouble editing or whatever, you were able to have more time to fix those mistakes and get on air, have Tom help you with those mistakes, have us help you with ideas, have us help you with, editing and Premiere and stuff like that. Everyone got on air today. And it was a first live show. So, I mean, honestly, that's like what I'm most happy about is that everyone got their stuff on air. And we did ultimately adapt and make that 30-minute mark. And we definitely have a lot of lessons to pass on to the next leadership team next week.
Thank you, Harper, and thank you, Nicole. You were impressive. All of you, the whole leadership team, you were truly impressive. All of you gave more than a 100% creativity, thought. One thing that I would suggest for the next leadership team, don't forget to look at the show flow and how scripts are flowing one from another. Riley did a great job, but I had to point out to her to check where in the rundown her script is because she was reintroducing the same story that she was not reintroducing, but she was developing a story about the CPI index which ran before her, and she was introducing it not thinking, oh my goodness, we already have Ben talking about that. So I asked her to look at the end of his script, and she played off the end of his script and wrote a lead that was wonderful, which kind of flowed into her different aspect of the story. So that kind of thing is really important, to think of the show not only as one as weaving one story into the other and they belong together because they're on the same topic or there's something that places them together, but also if you're doing two stories on two different aspects of the same topic, think of also how the leads should be written so that they flow one from another. I hope I'm making sense. But that's another thing that is important to look when you're looking at your show flow for the future.
Okay, I want to say props to everybody today. I think everybody did a great job, especially with the fact that we have so many different ranges as far as experience with Premiere, and the way that everybody was able to get through everything today to get it in time to get onto the show, and make sure that we made those deadlines as far as getting them in there. Just big props and a round of applause to everybody for that, because that was just amazing. That said, I have really one thing to add to what Harper was saying. So with the estimated duration in Rundown Creator, that is what controls the leadership team's view of how much time we are under or over for our rundown. So as soon as you know your package runtime, right? Mm-hmm. Take that, add 10 seconds to it, and put that in seconds on your estimated duration, because that is what's going to allow us to account for however long your package is. So let's say your package is exactly a minute and a half. Put 90 seconds, or type 90, and then hit enter into estimated duration, or actually add 10 seconds to that so your lead is counted. And then, so it would be 100. So you put 100 in there, and that's going to change in the actual estimated time and say a minute 40, right? So that's going to keep me from having to come and be in your face while we're 5 minutes out from show and being like, what is your actual time? So we can try to account for how much time we had left over today, so we could let them know, let Madison and Jim know, y'all are going to have 2 minutes to fill or a minute and a half to fill. And that last 30 seconds goes a long way when they're having to try to sit there and ad-lib throughout the whole entire thing. So that, on the technical side, was one note that I had. And another thing, so again, I know everyone has different levels of Premiere and whatnot, but one thing that I want to try to aim for, at least kind of have it in mind, is normalizing your audio to negative 12 decibels.
Yeah, there was some uneven audio.
Because, yes, with it going up and down, it'll be like your interview is down here and it sounds like this right here. And then you come back in with your VO and all of a sudden it's up here. And it's like if someone's watching this and they adjusted their volume, now you're blasting their head off, right? So that's just my only other technical note, is to make sure everybody kind of thinks about maybe starting from the get-go, once you put all of your, anything that's going to have like any interview or VO, making sure you look over on the side where it has your decibels and you can see where things are peaking, and make sure that everything is around negative 12. If you need more technical help with that, I can help you. Just please come ask me, or anything like that. Like, when I'll try to help in any way, shape,
That's a
form
great
that I
point.
can.
Yes, yes.
Because that was the only thing that I noticed. Like, if someone was watching this, like, yes, they would know it's produced by students and that it's newer. But the only thing that I feel like would be like a giveaway that this is not like true professional work is the sound fluctuation. Once we knock that out, I think that honestly, like, we are in such a good spot, especially in comparison to where we were literally 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And how that show was in comparison to this. Like,
yeah.
Again, congrats to everyone.
Justin.
Thank you. So I was digital producer today, and honestly, like, you guys did a really good job hitting that 12 o'clock. It's on. Okay. Well, yeah, you guys did a really good job of hitting that 12 o'clock deadline. We actually got a Grady Daily on today. It looks pretty good. So I was really impressed with you guys. And, like, you know, just as we get through just being an MMJ, or no, I'm sorry, not just being an MMJ, but just being a digital producer, definitely just start putting stuff out. I think I was a little too obsessive with, like, having captions on all the videos, because that looks really good on social media. But, like, if you're up here being a digital producer, like, you get content from someone, just get it out. Get whatever you got going before, like, you kind of throw yourself out. And then also, like, tell multimedia journalists what you want them to do. So, I had a variety of vertical and horizontal footage because I was telling you guys, like, where I wanted this platform to be. So it was easy to kind of fill up slots on each platform. So I couldn't be more grateful. I wish we had a little more time to work on social media, but the packages are definitely worth more. So yeah, that's all I got.
So Jim, would you like to, our intrepid anchor, and Maddie, I'd like to hear from you as well, because this was something new and on our first live show, and you guys.
All right. So, great job today. I just want to give a big props to our leadership team as well, especially guiding us through our last couple of shows. They've been pretty hectic, but today everything just kind of seemed to fall together. I guess the first thing I want to say too is that if you are going to become an anchor, I guess my biggest pointers were to, just don't be nervous. Treat it like it's a conversation that you're having with a monitor. I know it seems kind of weird, but that you'll just come across as authentic and it'll come natural or anything. But I guess I actually have a question for Justin, actually. So as a digital producer today, you were talking about how you said you were sending people all this stuff about, like, hey, like, I want you to get a horizontal or vertical shot. Would you recommend that all MMJs or quick turns, when they go out into the field, they not only have like a camera that can maybe record a horizontal footage, and then also their phone that can record something quick and vertical so that can get sent over quicker? Would you recommend that?
Yes and no, I guess. Yeah. If you have, like, a DSLR and then a phone, right, definitely. If not, like, there's no harm, no foul. Yeah. But
I guess.
There's two of them.
Yeah. Two mics? Oh.
Where's the other mic? It's the red one.
Oh, we got it. I guess the other thing that I recommend too is don't do what I did and assume that you know how to say everybody's name. Ben, I'm so sorry. I tried to recover for you when we came back off the package. So sorry about that. So I guess my advice is, just being an anchor, is to make sure all your names, of course, are correct and stuff, because what you think you're going to say is what's going to come out. So you got to make sure that's correct, and just kind of take a deep breath and relax. And yes, we're going to be live, but this is just treat it like a conversation. That's the way you're going to come across most authentic.
And don't show that.
Yeah, don't do what I did too. When I like stumbled, I was like, ugh, I froze
Yeah,
up for a second.
I mean, it's great personality, but
Yeah, just kind of fight through it.
that was cute, but
Yeah, I think one of the things I try to do today too, because I know that how short were we going into the live show today?
We were like a minute and 30.
Okay, yeah. So I try to add in a couple of extra words and stuff to the dialogue. Got tripped up when I was trying to say Bulldogs are headed to Columbia, South Carolina. I was like, but
Well, it ended up actually working.
yeah.
Because I believe by the time we got to y'all's conversation, yeah, it was. I mean, I don't remember, but
I was out here.
Yeah.
I was literally. I was literally sitting here and I had my phone up with like a timer that was like counting down to 5:30. So when y'all started your conversation, we literally had a minute and 15 seconds left, and I was sitting there like counting, and I'm like, okay, y'all have 50, y'all have 45, 30, 15. So like it ended up working out great with your ad-libbing. So I do want to like big props to you for that and for taking on all these last-minute readers that we threw at you.
Absolutely.
Last-minute readers and OTS, like the way that you kind of handled those, and yes, you stumbled here and there, but like you would have, like you could have done that having known you were going to do this from the very beginning of the show, and
Yeah.
you knew 15 minutes before we like went on. We're like, oh, we have another one. Here's another one. So great job with that.
Yeah, and I want to give big props, of course, to my co-host today. Absolutely killed it. So I'll pass the mic to her.
Hey. Well, thank y'all for saying I did good. I thought it went like really bad, but with that, I like learned something. I even like talked to Jim about it when I was like kind of preparing, because I was going back and forth about if I should have notes or not, and like it's made me a little more nervous to anchor, but like I messed up when I was reading my notes, and I think I would have felt more comfortable if I didn't have any at all. Like literally just my pitch for this sojo to Professor V sounded better than like me trying to
it was totally
explain it.
ad-lib. Yeah, you don't need notes. You just need
Yeah.
a few bullet points to remind yourself the main
Right.
points you want to make, not the whole sentences, and so that you
Yeah.
have this comfort of like, if I forget what I wanted to say, you can look down and immediately have a key word from your bullet point remind you. Oh,
Right.
yeah,
And the
that's
main
what-
thing I only looked at the notes for was like trying to explain the sojo, but I
and
think I
that's
should have.
complicated. That's
Yeah.
complicated. You needed to read that. That's not easy to explain.
But it was fun.
It was great. It was great. Guys, we want to hear from you, our viewers.
I don't really know what to say. I think it went smooth today for everyone. I'll share a funny story.
We love funny stories.
As I was leaving to do my interview, I got locked out of my house with my car keys, but I did solve that, and I think everything went smoothly after that for all of us. So that's all I got.
And you did great despite all
Thank
this
you.
lockout and yeah, when you're in a rush and you're stressing about things that could happen. So you did great. You did great. So you want to share the microphone with our other viewers? Oh, they're waiting for 2 more minutes. If 2 more minutes, come on, clock. Come on, clock. Come on, guys. What did you notice anything? I mean, you watched the show. You noticed one thing, 2 things. Share something, a challenge that that you had today, or something you learned, or.
I don't know whose job this is or how much this means, but when I was watching it, I thought that like my story was the Snapchat one, and I thought it would have looked better if the other political ones were before that one, and then after it was voter registration. I know, like, when you think of it, you think of voter registration, then like midterms, but I think it would have flowed better if it was like whoever did the debates coming up. I think it would have been like a
It's
good
Harper's, yeah.
flow from that to the Snapchat voter registration, because it's more urgent, in my opinion, but it still connects them. So.
The other thing I was impressed to, of course, is thank you guys, especially for Ben and Abby, for getting us those shots early on too from your packages. Those look great, and they really kind of help things come together for us. And they're, I'm assuming they're a big help for you guys too, just so you're getting an idea visually of what it's going to look like. So, it's a great job there.
One point I want to make: I am hoping that we will never ever have a pre-show tease, our elevator pitch without video. And you guys had such amazing video, and yet our pre-show tease was our handsome anchor on camera, which is good, but we shouldn't have a pre-show tease without video. From now on, guys, you can have one element of the tease, anchor on camera, but we have to have some B-roll. If some of you have an amazing soundbite, really short and snappy, share it with your producers and EPs so that they can include it in the tease. But we've got to have visuals. You guys had such amazing visuals. Even your graphics were amazing. I was just like, oh my goodness. Almost all packages had these very creative graphics. So anyway, was there a reason why we didn't have any B-roll in? Or you just wanted to be on camera, Jim, right?
Yeah, that was really it. that was it. I had to hit a quota today.
I know you better than that. I know you better than that.
No, that was that was on my bad, I guess, just for not setting up the pre-show. But yeah, I'll make sure to
pass it on to the next.
Yeah, I say not only hold myself, but hold the next person accountable for that too.
No, we're still learning. There's so much for you to absorb and about the roles and everything. I just had to throw it out there because you know how I am about the first sentence in a package, the first the first story in a show, and the elevator pitch. To keep people, to sell all this amazing content that you've worked so hard to do. But wonderful job. You can tell, guys, how happy I am with all of you. Really proud, and really, we're going to have a great semester. I have no doubt. It's not that I don't have I will talk to you individually and give you suggestions, but this is a very, very impressive start. And without further ado, if you don't have anything else, I will let you go and get some well-deserved rest. And on Monday, and again, great pitches. Of course, no pressure. I expect the same on Monday.